This is my intro music. Welcome to the video. I hope you like it lots, so don't forget to subscribe and click the thumbs up button. Now let's react.
Hey, hi, hello there. Welcome to another episode of Anthropologist Watches Quirkyloverosee Spooky Edition. Mwah. It is September 15th, and even though it is 82 degrees outside, it is spooky season inside. Got me my hat. We also have a new mic. He's tiny. So, I think I've got it adjusted. One of you will probably hate it. It's fine. We'll live with it. I wanted to talk about Quirkyloverosee. Because, alright, look, I don't care about Amber right now. There, I said it. I made a quick video about Tammy and the upcoming court cases and how I'm in court case, and how I'm interested in that. And that's about it. Let's talk about Quirky, because Rosee has done her damnedest to make herself a permanent fixture in Gorlwold, and god damn it, you win. I hope you're happy, because here you go, girlfriend. Things to tell you about Rosee that have happened recently. Rosee swam her 50 laps. I don't know how to break this to Rosee, but a double lap would be her swimming back and forth twice, not once. A lap requires you to go to the far end and come back. That's a lap. A lap means there's a starting point, and you go from the starting point all the way around and back to the starting point. Now, in her defense, even though she thought she was being a smarmy smartass and doing double laps by swimming to the back and then swimming back, that's not a double lap. That's an actual lap. She did indeed swim 50 laps, you know, put a 0 at the end of that. So I will give her credit for that. All right. Because nobody thought she'd actually do it. I just wanted to say that before we start digging, because a lot of disappointing things have come out just in general, because, you know, what is Gorlwold without disappointment? This young gentle person here is FluffyEnderPug, which is, I don't know what kind of name that is, but the words Fluffy and Pug are in here, and Ender. I'm enjoying this title a lot. Now, FluffyEnderPug, if you don't know, some of you might, some of you won't. This person is the child of another channel whose name is Planet with a Palette. And if that sounds familiar, follow me on this one. If you recall, a while ago, I want to say coming up on 3 weeks, if not a month, Zachary Michael put out a video talking about Quirkyloverosee's weird parasocial attempt of a relationship with them. Sorry. I'm going to try not to do that. Anyway, so Zachary Michael put out a really great video talking about that. And in that video, Zachary Michael shared some screenshots of messages that Rosee had sent to Zachary Michael, asking Zachary Michael to review a channel called Planet with a Palette. And I believe the creator's name is Reid. And Rosee at the time was friends with Reid and was trying to get Zachary to watch Reid's channel, Planet with a Palette, and to review it on Zachary's channel. So this is important because this lovely individual is Planet with a Palette's child. All right. This is their child, who is going to tell us a story about how basically Rosee and Planet with a Palette, aka Reid, had a falling out. And from my understanding, the falling out was over the fact that Rosee decided to do an interview. I don't have all of the details yet. I'm still digging, because I have little helper elves who are helping me out, and I appreciate every one of them. But as I recall myself, Rosee had a falling out with Reid because Rosee did an interview posing with a cane. Rosee has never needed a cane to walk, but Rosee posed with a cane pretending that she did, but the cane actually belonged to Planet with a Palette, who did need the cane to walk, right? And this apparently was one of the times that Rosee was borrowing other people's health problems and pretending like they were her own to make herself sound more whatever during the interview. This is how I understand the story to have gone. I will clarify as I get more information. Anyway, this caused a fallout between Rosee and Rain. During said fallout, Rosee thought it would be fun to drag Rain's 16-year-old child into it. Because that's what you do. You drag people's kids into these things. I don't care if this individual was 18 at the time, which they are currently now 18. I don't care. You just don't drag unrelated people into fights, especially when they're people's kids. What does it have to do with anything? And here's the other thing that's going to come out of this conversation here. One of the things that FluffyEnderPug is going to tell us, I'm just using people's channel names right now, just because one of the things this person's going to tell us is that, also I don't know people's pronouns, so I'm just going to stick with they, thems, is that this individual was editing Planet with a Pallet's YouTube content, and I think still is. I don't know. But regardless, Rosee goes after this person for editing Planet with a Pallet's YouTube content, which was and still is cooking and eating food on internet, on YouTube, right? Rosee wants us to believe that that's feeder corn content. If you take Planet with a Pallet's content and put it side by side with Rosee's current content, you know, her mukbangs, which are not mukbangs, it's identical, right? So if Planet with a Pallet's content is feeder corn, what makes it different from Rosee's? Why isn't Rosee's content feeder corn? So one of two things is true. Either Rosee is also creating feeder corn, like we've all been saying she's been doing, or Planet with a Pallet is not. I personally don't actually care. It just shows the hypocrisy of the argument. And that when Rosee was attacking said individual and dragging said individual and doxing said individual at the age of 16, Rosee was accusing them of editing corn on the internet. The same content that Rosee is producing. So which is it, Rosee? All right. What are you doing? So anyway, we're going to watch this video real quick. Couple things I want you guys to keep in mind as we're watching this. I understand that in the US, the legal age of being an adult is 18, but I don't give a shit. Y'all are still stupid at the age of 18. I was stupid at the age of 18. It's just something to keep in mind. I don't think this person is stupid. I just think we do and say weird shit when we're 18. And that is important when we get to the end of the video, because this young person here says something kind of goofy at the end of the video, which I will discuss with you guys, because two things. A, I think it was meant as a joke, and B, if Rosee's going to make money off of exploiting this person, I think this person asking to make some bank off of telling their side of their story with Rosee, I don't think that's unreasonable. So, you know, I'm of two opinions there, I guess. But that comes at the end of the video. And the only real reason that I'm like, y'all, the person's 18. Come on. I know some people are going to be upset about the fact that they even mentioned the word money, because I know that sets some people off. So, yeah, it's going to put a bad taste in some people's mouths, but here we are. Anything else I want to say before we get into this? No. I'm not going to speed it up, only because it's a 7-minute video. So I don't really think we need to. We'll see how much I talk. But let's go.
I only have bad things to tell you today. There's no entertainment to be found in this video unless you like my personality. Hi, my name is Tyler Hogan, and I was harassed by a content creator at the age of 16. That was my phone. Yeah, so the person I'm talking about, her online username is Quirkyloverosee. I'm just gonna call them Rosee for the remainder of this video. I did not want to make this video. I'm 18 now. I think I should say that up front because it will be relevant. I was 16 at the time this happened, and I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to make a video about it. I didn't want to draw attention to myself or get involved in it because primarily it was with somebody else, and then I was just kind of dragged into it by this content creator. But recently I found that Rosee is still lying about the situation online. So me, being me, basically left a reply being like, hey.
All right, this person has their Twitter. Here's the thing. First off, I'm not calling it X. Secondly, Rosee seems to feel pretty bulletproof on Twitter, which I find interesting. Anyway, this says from Tyler at FluffyEnderPug. So I guess we got that. They say, would like to note that while it wasn't their legal name, it was still the name they go by that links back to personal accounts separate from their professional work. But of course, Rosee had no qualms using me for drama at the age of 16, so not shocking that she neglected to mention this. That's what the thing on the screen says.
You leaving out some core details there. And then she proceeded to say more lies about me on Twitter, the worst place ever for where all bad things happen. It's usually from Twitter. So I
remember a time and a place where we used to say that about Tumblr. I just find it interesting that that's migrated over to Twitter. I don't know if it's necessarily true. I just remember that way back in the day we used to say that about Tumblr. I also am old enough to remember that that's what we used to say about LiveJournal too, so it rotates. It you know, pick one. It rotates. Give it time.
I'm making this video to outline my story, I guess. Particularly because she blocked me.
Oh, it's just showing a screenshot that says Quirkyloverosee has blocked you.
So I can't even directly talk to her about this. Listen, I would have been down to reason. Be like, hey, stop lying about me online, but she blocked me, so. Also, she did threaten to call the police.
This is Quirky. This is more Twitter stuff. Quirkyloverosee. Them or their family, they emailed me begging to speak and apologize. Did they? I will go to our local police to file for harassment. I did not wish for contact in any way, and the continual narcissist harassment is disgusting. Aren't you replying to something that they posted on Twitter? You're replying to them? To something they posted? I don't think that's how it works. I'm nearly 99% sure that's not how that works.
For harassment if I continued to talk about this, but thankfully I'm not a fucking idiot and I know my rights. Like how I know that replying to another person on Twitter is not harassment. Yeah, this recent Twitter situation, I was talking to somebody else. It just had to do with her. And again, I have not personally reached out to her.
Ain't no way you're still on about this. They say, this is the only thing I directly said to her.
In any way, so fucking call the police. Sure, Rosee. Anyways, I guess I'll start from the beginning. So I did know her in real life because she used to be friends with my parents. This will be relevant. So she would come over sometimes, and from jump I got a bad feeling about her. Typically I'm one of the first people to get like a bad vibe about people, and in this case I was right.
Dude, me too, but here's the thing. I get a bad vibe about everyone, like literally everyone. Like, it's just my default state. It really is.
I didn't like her. I wasn't vibing with her. Something seemed off. Some of the stuff she said didn't sit right with me. Sue me. I just did not like her. But, you know, she wasn't being, like, overtly hostile or anything, so I was like, whatever, I'll deal with it. There's plenty of people who I don't like who I put up with. Like, it's fine. Until it wasn't fine. So, long story short, again, I don't want to get into the full situation because it's mostly not about me, and I'm just here to tell my side of the story. But long story short, she and my parents stopped being friends. She had, like,
I don't know the full date of this. It just says Quirkyloverosee. It says 3 hours ago edited. I don't know the original date for this. It says, I uploaded a very serious video this morning. I deleted the video because I missed editing out a name on one screenshot about 7 minutes in, and after reflecting, since I deleted it, it will remain deleted. It was regarding my community post from yesterday. It became clear that a lot of you don't know who this is, and I refuse to name them. I feel so frustrated because I feel my story should be heard. Okay, Amber. But I do not want this video to send a bunch of hate towards them or cause a shitstorm either. We'll talk about that statement in a second here. Since I missed a censor, I'm not going to make the mistake of leaving it up. If you saw the video, I stand behind every word. It might just be better to have not posted it at all and let people assume what they want. I just don't want to be discussed by this person anymore because they attacked me over and over and somehow made themselves a victim. I mean,
a huge crash out online, and I'm gonna use the word allegedly here because she did scrub this from the internet, but allegedly doxed my parent somewhat by posting their like private Facebook account or something, which, you know, can obviously lead to issues and put, you know, both them and notably their 2 kids in danger, because I also have a 14-year-old brother. He was 12 at the time. Now here's where
I think that's another thing to kind of keep in mind here that is important for FluffyEnderPug to have mentioned. Though they are 18 today in the modern era, they still have an underaged sibling who was underaged at the time that Rosee was doxing this individual. So it is within reason to say that Rosee was potentially putting both kids in danger. And through attacking this person again on Twitter, which has come to my attention, which is the reason why I'm making this, Rosee is once again putting another minor in danger again.
I come in is that she was claiming, and I can't find evidence of this from back when this was happening, because again, she scrubbed a lot of this from online. I can use her recent tweet.
These are tweets from Rosee. Their parent who makes adult feeder content. I'm just going to say the words at this point. It's almost 20 minutes in. Their parent who makes adult feeder content paid their 16 son at the time to edit their, come on, Rosee, their mukbangs and had him get on the internet and lie for them after I shared what he said in front of me. Quote, "It feels like editing your porn," end quote. It's been a couple years, but that's close verbatim. Their parent then gave them my prior adult content Twitter to try to start Twitter beef with me. Okay. I freaked the fuck out and blocked them. 2 years later, their son is still trying to fight battles for them. It's bizarre. It's creepy. And if I'm continued to be... Oh, I think this is the first half of that one tweet that we saw. Because I think the next part is, if I'm continued to be contacted, I'm going to yada yada, go to the police and yada yada yada. I'm still not entirely sure what... I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm really not. I'm still not entirely sure what FluffyEnderPug's pronouns are here. And because Rosee can't seem to figure out grammar, I can't pick up from hers whose pronouns are what. And so just for simplicity's sake on my end, I'm still just going to stick to they, them for everybody. FluffyEnderPug has been very clear about using gender neutral terms for their parent. And Rosee flip-flops between using masculine and gender neutral terms for FluffyEnderPug, so I'm just going to stick with they, thems, and that's not meant to be disrespectful. That's just because I'm trying not to be disrespectful. I hope that comes off the way it's intended. I don't frankly care what Quirky thinks because she's made it pretty clear she doesn't give a shit, so you know, just trying to kind of put that out there before that gets away from me. Anyway, so what Rosee's claiming here, and if you watch Rosee's content or have looked at Rosee's content for any length of time, obviously I am catching up on Rosee's content because I have only recently started critically looking at Rosee over the past year and a half at this point. Rosee has a very creative way of retelling stuff. Doesn't matter what it is, stuff. It's ironic that Rosee would accuse FluffyEnderPug of trying to make things about them and make them themselves be the victim in a situation. It's very ironic that Rosee would be accusing FluffyEnderPug of doing that. That is very much the pot calling the kettle black in this situation. Like, there is a mirror in your house, Rosee. You might want to go look in it. So that I find very interesting. Also, if you follow her content at all, if you follow her live streams at all, you will know that Rosee likes to get creative with the retellings of her stories and tell them in a way that puts herself in the bestest of lights. Like, I don't know if her and Amber literally just play out of the same playbook, or if she's just adopted Amber's playbook as far as, I'm just going to say shit and ignore any kind of pushback I get for getting caught saying contradictory crap. I don't know. But the problem with Rosee today, modern era Rosee, which these are modern era tweets, is that you can't trust what she says because she's an unreliable narrator of her own life, right? Like most of the girls, she will rewrite and re-edit her own past in a way that, did it even happen? And if it did it happen the way she's saying it did? So these kind of things. Now, I talk a lot about how when it comes to Amber specifically, you know, when we look at these things anthropologically, she's our only informant. When I talk about Amber, she's our only informant, right? So until we have a secondary informant, we kind of have to go with what Amber's telling us. We don't have to believe her, but she's our only informant. She's our only source of knowledge, right? So we have to at least listen, right? She's the only source we have, right? What's happening here, though, is that we might have a secondary informant happening here because we've got FluffyEnderPug, who was this 16-year-old person that Rosee's talking about in this series of tweets, right? So we do have a secondary informant who was present at the time because they are the second person in this situation. Rosee being the primary, because Rosee being the primary, she's the one that brought it up first, right? So this creates an interesting situation for us because we now have two perspectives on the same situation. That also means we know this situation actually happened because we have two people to back it up. How it actually played out, we don't really know. We know it happened. We know we have two different perspectives of it. Who's telling the truth? But that's not necessarily the point. You know, in anthropology, it's not necessarily the point. We're here to collect the story. The story is the more important part. Now, the rest of y'all, you can draw your own conclusions. It's fine. I'm going to draw mine. I've laid out my reasons for why I'm going to draw mine. Y'all can decide on your own. Anyway, I'm going to let him finish. Or sorry, I'm going to let them finish.
Of this, but was basically lying. My parent runs a cooking show online that I help film and edit for. This is not a secret or anything new. And what I had said is that I didn't like editing the mukbang portions because I just didn't like the sounds. That's just the thing. I don't like the sounds of people eating. I have autism. This is not some crazy conspiracy. And
something I want to mention here that I find interesting is that now supposedly this incident occurred 2 years prior. And this individual mentions that they don't like to edit the eating noises and that one of the reasons is because of their autism. Again, if you've been following Rosee for any length of time or have been critically looking at Rosee's content for, in the past, Rosee has attempted and still believes that she should have an autism diagnosis. However, every time she has tried to get diagnosed with it, she has been denied. They have literally told her, no, you don't have it. She has tried, as far as I'm aware, twice to get diagnosed with it, and both times has been told nah. I find that interesting that this individual who does have it, keep in mind, Rosee's brother also has been diagnosed with it. Now, is it true that women are chronically underdiagnosed with is it true that women are chronically underdiagnosed with autism? Yes. That is a true statement. Take that how you would like. Is it also true that Rosee is constantly trying to get diagnosed with something? Also, yes. So, this individual has been diagnosed with autism, as far as I am aware. I just find it interesting that this person 2 years ago says something to the effect of, I don't like editing the eating portions because the noises upset me because of my autism. And I want to say about 2 years ago is when I recall hearing Rosee really start pushing for that autism diagnosis. I'm not saying this is the person that triggered it, because again, her brother has been diagnosed with it. So she has a firsthand exposure to it. I just think it's interesting that, she finds people in her life who have this diagnosis and suddenly she wants to have the diagnosis. I don't understand why she needs to have these diagnoses. It's not a fucking gold star, man. I don't understand. I don't understand her. I really don't.
And I guess I had apparently mentioned this while Rosee was around, so she went ahead and was telling people that I was editing porn as a 16-year-old, being paid to edit NSFW content for a YouTube cooking show. Let's use our brains here, not porn. And that I was so uncomfortable, and that I privately came to her.
They've got a little thing here at the bottom of the screen that says, this was on an Instagram story that you can no longer watch, so quote unquote, allegedly or whatever.
And was saying how I was uncomfortable with this. I don't like her, so why would I confide in this woman? And also, no, I just said I don't like the sounds. Also, hi, I'm editing and I just caught, just registered the part of her tweet where she said that my parent gave me her old NSFW Twitter account. This did not happen because, saying that out loud, it's fucking insane. Obviously, this didn't happen. What did happen was she had posted on, I guess, what used to be an NSFW Twitter account, a public tweet, and somewhere in the tweet it said my parents' YouTube name. Out of curiosity around this time, I had quite literally just Twitter searched my parents' YouTube name to see if there was any buzz, because I was helping them with social media marketing, and that's how I saw whatever tweet this was. And I had said something, and this is where she was like, wow, I'm being attacked. Fucking goofy. Anyways, I found that...
Alright, so according to FluffyEnderPug, this whole NSFW Twitter thing came to... Rosee had, apparently, an NSFW Twitter account that she was making public posts from. Boy, doesn't that sound familiar. And because it was a public post and not, being protected for 18 plus, like you should do if it's a not safe for work account, so people under the age of 18 can't see your fucking content. Because she didn't do that, when FluffyEnderPug was doing a vanity search to see how their parents' YouTube channel was doing, because they were helping with the social media account, they were able to discover Rosee's not safe for work account, because even though it was supposedly 18 plus, Rosee wasn't sufficiently protecting the account from being discovered by minors. This is not FluffyEnderPug's problem. That was Rosee's fault, because once again, 2 years ago, Rosee was not protecting her content from minors. That was not anybody's fault except Rosee's, because Rosee made a public post from her Pyorn account, her prawn account, because I don't know what word's going to get me banned on YouTube these days. And lo and behold, a minor found her account. Now you know why those are supposed to be restricted. Anyway.
That she was still lying about the situation on Twitter. So I replied in response to somebody else who was asking about it.
This says, talking about the tweet I showed at the beginning. So this is FluffyEnderPug bringing us back to the current day.
Clearing up a few details. Again, I have not directly spoken to Rosee, so I don't know what she's on about with harassment and shit. And she crashed out again because that's what she does best. Said all this shit about how, like, I'm still trying to fight their battles and shit. I don't care about your weird online drama with my parent. I just don't like that I was dragged into it, you know? All this shit, threatening to call the police. A very dramatic reaction to me clarifying a few things and kind of taking a dig at her for, you know, involving me in internet drama when I was a minor. And the reason I'm specifying when I was a minor, because as much as she likes to talk about how, oh, I was being preyed on by my parent or whatever the fuck, this person puts 18 plus on all of her social media profiles.
This is a description of Quirkyloverosee's, I believe, YouTube channel. It says, hi, welcome to me, lifestyle, disabled, neurodivergent vlogger, aspiring author, and artist, words, plus-sized queer adult on a health journey. Really? When's that going to happen? Working with CPTSD, HDHD, MDD diagnosed. Really? I don't think you are. 18 plus internet space due to the topics I discuss, and I cuss like a sailor. I am far from perfect, but I try to be my best and my most authentic self. Come hang out with me and vibe. Quirkyloverosee on all platforms. You can put 18 plus internet space on everything that you want. If you're not restricting your content, it doesn't matter. I can put 18 plus on every single account I own. If I'm not restricting the content, it doesn't fucking matter. Right? I can say my content's 18 plus all day long. If I put up a naughty picture and I fail to restrict it to 18 plus, like if I fail to click the buttons that make that picture restricted to people who are 18 and older, that's on me. That's not on the 16-year-old who's going to Google something and end up finding that picture because it's open to the public. All right? At least if I'm putting it under an 18 plus filter, they got to dig a little harder. I mean, I'm not putting anything past the internet, but the point is, Rosee doesn't even do that. She just puts this in her descriptions of shit as if that's going to protect her. It doesn't. That's why there are options, especially on YouTube, which I think this is because of the little box in the corner there. There are options on YouTube. Yes, there's a thing that says, is this content made for children? Yes or no? Yes, there is that. And you should always probably click no, because unless you are specifically making content for children, your content is not for children. End of discussion. But there's a second layer. If you're making content that you feel like should not be viewed by people under the age of 18, you should probably click it. So if you're saying you're an 18 plus internet space, Rosee, you should be clicking that button. And yes, it does affect who gets to see the video and how widely spread YouTube makes the video. That's the trade-off. You want to make feeder corn? Knock yourself out. You have to click the 18 plus button. That's how this shit works. Sorry. I don't make the rules. YouTube does. Anyway.
Files. They aren't like locked, like her YouTube channel is public and stuff, obviously. But yeah, very clearly is like my channel is for adults and up. So why was I being involved as a 16-year-old? That sounds a lot fucking more predatory to me than not liking the sounds of people eating. But yeah, she blocked me on Twitter, which is fine, whatever, I don't give a fuck. But I'm speaking out about this now in case it becomes a whole thing, which, knowing her, it might do. Very dramatic individual. So I figured I would beat the race here and just say my piece. I don't want any drama to come out of this. It's more of a funny story than anything. Like, hey, this content creator is very dramatic and kind of predatory in the sense that she was involving me on her 18 plus social media platform drama, web drama, when I was 16 and was probably making money off of it, so that's cool. Maybe I can make money off of this. I have a Patreon. Check the description. Okay.
Alright, remember earlier in the beginning of the video I said, I understand 18 is the legal age of being an adult in the United States, but 18 is not adult brain. I get, this was a joke, okay? I get it. I hope most people understand that was a joke, but at the same time, they kind of have a point. Rosee's making some money off of this shit. Is it really that obnoxious for this person to be like, hey, maybe I could make $1 or $2 off of it? From what I can see, like, their channel's not even that big. Okay, so it's not like they have a bajillion member channel or something like that. The point is, A, it was a joke. B, this person's 18, so it probably sounded funny at the time. And where am I? C, I mean, is it really that unreasonable of a request? Do I think we should all go rush over to their Patreon and go donate toss a coin to your Witcher? No. Am I going to? No. It's fine. You know, the point is, honestly, Rosee's making money off of it. Just keep that in mind.
That's all. This is going up on a Friday, which I normally don't post videos on, but I just when it's filming it and it seemed important. Bye.
Alright. Couple things I want to say before we wrap up this particular part of this is FluffyEnderPug does mention that they feel like Rosee's behavior was predatory. I don't think Rosee's behavior was necessarily predatory. I think it was just stupid. I think those two behaviors can often look the same because they can. I think predation, yep. Sure. I think that requires a little bit of like planning. I think Rosee is very reactive, as FluffyEnderPug has said, mentioning she crashes out as she does, kind of a thing. I think Rosee likes to paint herself as a hero, and in doing so often doesn't think about the long-term implications of the shit that she says or the way that she portrays herself. And I don't know what the hell the whole concept in her head was about trying to make it sound like Planet with a Palette was putting their own child in danger in this way, which is exactly what Rosee was trying to do. It wasn't really that she was trying to dox FluffyEnderPug. It's that she was trying to make Planet with a Palette seem like a really shitty parent. In the process, Rosee dragged young Sir here into the conversation without thinking about that's what she was doing. And then when FluffyEnderPug decided to stand up for themselves, as people are prone to do, even young people, especially young people, Rosee couldn't stand up for herself because she didn't have a fucking leg to stand on. And instead of walking it back, apologizing, admitting fault, Rosee doubles down and does what she usually does, which is, I'm going to go to the police. I'm going to find an adult. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Rosee, you fucking started it. Madam, this is your fault. You did this. What are you going to do? Go to the police and tell them I picked a fight with a 16-year-old and they smacked me harder than I could smack them? My point is, you did this. This was you. You started this shit. What are you going to tell the police? The mean 16-year-old is being mean to me on Twitter because I called his parent a nasty thing I shouldn't have said because I started a fight with them on Twitter and they ended it. Like, is that what you're gonna go tell the cops? Seriously? Anyway, that is the point. All right, there's a lot more going on with this. It's part of Rosee lore. I think it's interesting that FluffyEnderPug decided to come forward and talk about it. I know that Rosee has been being very vocal against FluffyEnderPug on X, aka Twitter. I do not have a Twitter account. I guess I should say I do not have an active Twitter account. I'm pretty sure I have one. Anyway, I do not have an active Twitter account, so I don't follow this shit at all. But I do have people who are sending me screenshots, and I do appreciate that. And I have been told through said grapevine that Rosee has been being active about not only attacking FluffyEnderPug, but having her minions attack FluffyEnderPug as well. It seems to be like she's very active and ragey active on Twitter, because I also know that she was going on some tirade about stream sniping on on Twitter, which I'm sure is confusing to 90% of the population who doesn't understand why she's using that term, because it's a gaming term and not really used outside of Gorlwold the way the way we use it. I learned that. Stream sniping doesn't mean what we think it means, apparently. So unless we're all watching her play a video game that we are then using said information to figure out where she is in said video game so that we can go kill her while she's playing said video game, we're not stream sniping you, but okay. All right. You got me. Anyway, I do know that she's going on some kind of like legalese tirade trying to use the YouTube terms of service to prove that we're doing something that we're not doing and whatever. I'm not on Twitter. I'm getting screenshots of things, and I appreciate the screenshots that I'm getting. So thank you to everybody who's been doing that for me. I also have people that are sending me more updates and receipts about this particular situation between Planet with a Palette and Rosee from back in the day. And again, truly appreciate that as well. And that's really all I've got to say about this situation. I think it's kind of telling that this is the fight that Rosee's chosen to pick, and that this is the victim that Rosee's chosen to go after, when she could have just let it go. This didn't need to happen, right? This person didn't need to be involved. There was no reason to even bring this person up. This was done in an attempt to make someone else look worse than they looked. And it backfired, not only because it didn't achieve the goal that Rosee was hoping it would, but also this was not a silent individual. This was someone who was also internet savvy and also social media savvy, and was not going to sit there and just let Rosee come up with a story and spin her own tale. And this is something that we saw with Amber when Amber tried to do... Anytime Amber tries to badmouth one of her ex-victims on the internet, we've seen it most recently with Tammy, Amber tries to spew a bunch of shit about somebody that she doesn't think is going to react to her because she doesn't think that they'll see it on the internet. And then when they do, and they come back and they try to stand up for themselves, or they do actually stand up for themselves, Amber doesn't have a leg to stand on. And so she has to backpedal with personal attacks, No, that didn't happen. You can't prove XYZ. You know, it becomes a lot of ad hominem, a lot of logical fallacies, and basically turns out to end up being this person can back up their end of the story, but Amber can't. And it looks like we're kind of coming out the same way. It looks like FluffyEnderPug can, to some degree, back up their end of the story, but Rosee can't. Now, this person did admit that there are parts that they can't really support because Rosee has erased these things or has removed these parts of the story from the internet. I'm willing to bet those things are still out there somewhere. I'm willing to bet somebody somewhere has a screenshot or the original video is still out there somewhere. If it is, I'd like to see it because I think it would be interesting just in general to have receipts to back up FluffyEnderPug's claims, because one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to back up what FluffyEnderPug is saying and prove what they're saying, or it's going to prove FluffyEnderPug is wrong. And then we know if we can trust them or not. Right? I'm just saying. There's a really simple, easy way to see which one of them is the more reliable narrator. And that's just, you know, find these screenshots. All right. That's all I want to talk about in this video. I understand that I took a 7-minute video and made like a fucking 40-minute video out of it. But here, this is what you come to my channel for. I don't know why you're here otherwise. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Please use timestamps. It does help when we go back over the comments. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my members. You guys rock. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who's going to hit the thumbs up button. Go ahead and put a planet down in the comment section as your emoji, if you would, please. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for you guys in this one. This is not this individual in general, but the overall story between Rosee and Planet with a Palette. That's a developing story for me just because I'm interested. And like I said, it is part of Rosee lore. And since Rosee has decided to make herself a permanent member of Gorlwold, it's time. It's just time. So until the next one, I will see everybody then. And welcome to spooky season, everyone. Ooh, I should get some decorations up. I should get some pumpkins and shit out here, yeah? Get a pumpkin here. Or a cat. Ooh, my cats have costumes. Anyway, I will see everybody in the next one. Bye!
Is my outro music. You can't copyright strike me because it's just me singing. This is my outro music. Thank you for watching. See you next time.